next episode you're about to see is called Undertow. In the episode, we had one special guest star, Jim Backus.
I'm a very prominent attorney who works very closely with the LAPD.
Well, I'm CHP, see?
Oh, yeah.
And I went through the roof. I always got excited when we had a guest star. It was always like a pleasure for me because I watched these guys as a kid on TV. And then another thing that you'll notice in this episode, how Ponch and John, the camaraderie was so rich, you could actually cut it with a knife. It was so rich and full, and you could see the partnership and the friendship and the camaraderie working. If it wasn't for Baker, Poncharello would have just been another guy on a bike. He made him work, and it worked beautifully, and I enjoyed that a lot. And also you're gonna notice when we pull into the gas station because a bird did something to my windshield and I want to clean it off, look at the gas station prices. You're never gonna see that again, buddy. Anyway, enjoy the episode. Welcome back. On this episode, Doggone. I'll be doggone. It's not the song, it's the episode. It's actually a really fun episode. Kids love this episode. I used to get a lot of fan mail on it, where we're chasing the dog on the freeway and we're tracking this dog down and he's through the episode. And also, if you'll notice, in the episode where I pick up the dog in Doggone, take a look at my left arm. You'll notice the biggest road burn here because 3 days prior to that, I had an accident, my very first, where I scraped my knee. Thank God I had the helmet on, so I saved my hair, but I didn't save my arm, and I took about 8 inches worth of skin off. I had the biggest scab. You'll notice it, you can't miss it. So please, enjoy this one, and we'll see you soon. Here we are on the episode called Moving Violation. This one was a lot of fun. With this episode, it reminds me of a time that I was pulled over by a highway patrol officer because I was speeding, and the guy gave me a ticket. I didn't say, hey, I'm Ponch from Chips or anything. I don't pull that. If I'm in the wrong, the first thing that's out the window is my license and registration, and I got the ticket. But you know what this guy did? Before I got to base camp where everything was set up, he called ahead and said, hey, I just busted Ponch. Gave him a speeding ticket. That guy is still around telling that story. Anyway, but that's how it went. And now I want you to enjoy yourself. Have fun with this one. Now this episode, Baby Food, is about a truckload of baby food and it falls all over the freeway. We almost crash all over the place trying to duck these boxes. And so we pick up whatever's left and some of it gets away, and this one couple finds it, and surprisingly enough, they feed it to their baby. But the actor that plays the father of the child, it was the actor that I had a screen test against for the role of Ponch. Out of 500 some odd guys, they narrowed it down to 5 and then to 2. And I almost didn't get the role because I had played 9 years as the stereotypical Latino with the gun, the knife, the brick, the pimp, the drug, you know. So, but they put me in uniform and that neutralized me, and I got the part, and I beat this guy out of it that plays the dad. So that's a good episode. This episode is called Green Thumb Burglar. It has to do with plants being stolen from all public places around the city. But also in the show, I get to meet HR Pufnstuf. And so that was nice because, you know, Chips was about children too. It wasn't all chase the bad guys, lock them up, or draw our guns. It was a lot of the shows had to do with things for kids because we wanted kids' attention. We wanted to convey to children that people in law enforcement occupation are approachable and that they're good guys and they're out to protect and to serve. Also, you know, in the show, Ponch gets his fortune told by some psychics. And Ponch, he don't care about that, and he don't believe it, but things start to happen to him, so he's kind of getting a little bit weary of it. But in real life, I had psychics in the past tell me that I was going to be that my career had to do with a lot of people, always in front of a lot of people. And I said, yeah, people I was taking to jail because I originally wanted to be a police officer, a New York City police officer where I grew up. And then as luck would have it, I decided to become an actor and then got to play a cop and then did another show where I got to become a real cop. Now I'm a real police officer. But I believe and don't believe, but I believe and sometimes don't believe, but I believe. You enjoy it. See if you believe. This next episode for me was, an absolute joy because this is one where it's called Hustle, and this is one where we got to pull over a car and the driver was Broderick Crawford from the original black and white Highway Patrol series, where he would get on the phone and goes, "It's Highway Patrol, Broderick Crawford. We got 2411 here. Come down real quick." That's the way he spoke. Well, I got to meet him. This guy is the original Highway Patrol television show, black and white, that I watched as a kid. I got to meet him and it was like, it was awesome for me. Every year, we've just had our 3rd anniversary where a star is dedicated to Broderick Crawford on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And by the way, I'm getting mine April 19th, and I'm going to dedicate it to all law enforcement agencies, men and women all over the country in America. Because if it wasn't for law enforcement, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. Enjoy the show. This episode is called Name Your Price. Now, this is one where Ponch is going to be on a game show where he can win lots of money if he names the item. So he goes throughout the entire episode naming the price of this and learning the price of that until he learns just about everything he possibly can, except one thing, but I won't give it away, what he has to price out at the end of the show. You're going to love it. It's really, really funny. High ironic, too. So you're going to like that. But also now, in this episode, there's a truck that spills chickens. So, and then Ponch, of course, has got to start collecting the chickens and everything else. And then the chickens all get spooked, and boy, they fly all over me. And by the end of the day, I'm wearing so much chicken poop in my hair, down my shirt, all over me. I stank like a chicken for a couple of days. But this show is definitely a good show. You're gonna like it. Enjoy it. This next episode is called Rustling. Now, this was fun for me because we got to work around horses. And since I'm not that familiar around horses, Larry gave me a few tips because he brought out his horse that he goes on rodeos with and he does cattle roping. But he has a horse that was so gorgeous, beautiful mahogany color, beautiful chestnut. This horse was awesome and fast. And we used him in the episode. So I got exposed to that. And also in this episode, there was a terrific old-time actress named Alice Ghostley, who was Esmeralda in the Bewitched series. For me, it was like being at a toy store because all the people that were people that I watched on TV when I was young, in black and white, even before color came out, got to work in Chips, and I got to host them. As the star of the show with Larry, I got to host a lot of people that I watched. So it was very exciting. Enjoy this episode. This next show is called Vintage 54. And in the show, there's a parachutist, female, lands on the freeway, gets hung on the freeway, and John and Ponch gotta go get her, so we get the fire boys out with their fire truck and we gotta cut her down. But also, Mrs. Downey's car gets stolen. Now, this lady's often teased us and always given us chocolate chip cookies and always says,
"Have a chippy, chippy."
And she's very funny. It was fun working with her. So you're gonna enjoy this episode. I had a lot of fun with it, and Mrs. Downey's quite cute. Enjoy it. This next episode is called Cry Wolf. Had to do with a young man who is setting off fire alarms all over the city, and he was just tying up all the works. You know, false alarms really put a lot of people in jeopardy because you got a fire truck answering a false alarm over here, and it could be a real fire over there. So that's why we don't play with false alarming. One of the things I remember about this episode was meeting Ellen Travolta. She played the role of Helen, and she's John Travolta's sister. She's the sweetest, nicest, kind-hearted lady you ever want to meet, and a lot of fun to be around. So I enjoyed this episode, and the memories are, I have fond memories of her and that particular episode. So please enjoy. This next episode is called Rainy Day. We figured we'd do an episode where we could show the public what a motorcycle officer has to do when it rains. He cannot ride his motorcycle in the rain or in the snow. And so what they do is they go into a cruiser and park the bikes and patrol the streets. Now, you know, in Los Angeles, when it rains, it's like it's like a novelty. It's a treat. I actually enjoy it because I'm from New York originally, and I'm used to 4 seasons. Here you get sun, and once in a while a cloud, and then sun, and then once in a while high winds, and then sun, and once in a while you get some rain. And when we get rain, I love it. But the people don't know how to drive in the rain. First of all, because you got months and months of cars dripping oil on the freeway, on the streets. So the first rainfall slicks the streets. A lot of accidents, always the first time it rains in California, all over the place. I mean, any police officer will tell you that. They have to deal with a lot of fender benders. Please enjoy this episode. I think you'll find it interesting. This next episode is called Crack Up. This is one where John and Grossi get messed up in a chase, and they get some injuries. So now I'm teamed up with Gertrude. Ponch and Gertrude. Can you imagine Ponch and Gertrude together on the road? The sergeant's always on my case, always on me, and Ponch is always trying to do right, but he just, you know, Ponch is that kind of guy that he knows the rules, but he reacts first, bends the rules, and then goes, oh, wait a minute, that's not in the book. Oh, you know. That's why he's always in trouble with the sergeant. But it's interesting to see us both work together and do this thing. And you know, Robert Pine, he's a pretty accomplished actor. We used to call him, I nicknamed him the thespian in the show because he's most accomplished, serious pieces of work, and been at it for a long, long time. And he has a lovely wife, and he's got 2 kids, and one of his kids is taking right after Robert Pine in the same footsteps. He's become an actor, and he's doing quite well. So I'm happy for all of them, and I'm sure you're going to be happy when you see this episode. Oh, this episode is one of my very, very favorite episodes. It's called Flashback. The main theme was these guys are stealing police motorbikes. I won't tell you any more about the actual show, but I will tell you about is that this is where John meets Ponch.
You heard? I want you to reach in your pocket and give me your driver's license. You know, gotta wear a helmet. It saves lives.
Is there anything that saves people up there from giving lectures to people down here?
Well, I get it.
And also in this show, Eddie Olmos, you know, who played the captain in Miami Vice, was in the show. And before I got Chips, I was doing what Eddie was doing. But when I got the role of Ponch, it was like a blessing because he was supposed to be Italian. But I changed the name to Poncharello, and then I made him Hispanic American. And that kind of opened the doors for Latinos in television prime time to be in positive role image. Because after that, Eddie Olmos became a captain in Miami Vice. Jimmy Smith's a lawyer in LA Law. And then you had Hector Alessandro, a director of a hospital in Chicago Hope. So it was a good thing. And it was, God, it was a wonderful time. It really was. I had a really, really good time being part of that, and I'm proud of that. and for you to enjoy this episode, okay?